Welcome to the Inspiration North podcast, inspiring stories from inspirational people and how they found their passion, their true north. I'm James Eves.
And I'm Michelle Minikin, and this is the Inspiration North podcast.
Today's episode, Having Massive Goals, with Jessica Williams. We talk about surrounding yourself with amazing people, how much she loves Teesside, maximising the time we have, and find out what time her alarm goes off.
Jessica is the Managing Director of Just Williams. She focuses on the key issue many businesses face of how to increase sales consistently and effectively. She has worked in the sales industry for over 12 years across a broad range of sectors, advising, managing and growing organisations through effectively implementing a structured sales strategy and developing relationships for long-term growth. Through working with businesses to achieve enhanced lead generation, understanding the barriers and addressing the impact of current sales performance against targeted growth, she is able to review your current strategy and offer advice and guidance for the coming financial year. So we have travelled to an incredibly sunny Stockton on Tees to visit with Jessica in her lovely offices today. So I understand there's lots of very exciting news that's coming out of Just Williams this last week or so. Do you want to talk to us about that?
I'd love to. So it's great to be on, guys, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this.
It's almost like there's like not a week goes by where I'm not on LinkedIn and there's like, ooh, look at this article about Jessica, or just look at this. It's like non-stop.
Is it too much? Is
it
too much? I know
too much.
Loads of people are like, oh God, we've seen you on social media. We've seen, bits and the stuff. And I'm like, oh, I don't know whether to say great or I'm sorry or
don't be apologetic.
There's loads going on. And I think, we're given what we do, as a sales outsourcing company, it's our job to promote it. So, there's loads going on. And, where are we now? We're in September 2019. When we look back to where we are last year, it's just crazy what's happened. And there's like any journey, there's been some incredible ups, there's been some some downs, and we've had quite a challenging year actually in many guises, but yeah, we've got a lot going on right now, which is exciting. So the latest thing is our Just Williams Sales Academy, which I'm remarkably excited about. The reason I set up the business 3 and a bit years ago, my whole ethos behind it was to professionalise the sales industry. So we've done that over the last few years through the different sales solutions that we offered, but now we're pulling together, as I say, and we've launched the Just Williams Sales Academy. So I'm really excited about that, and the first session is September, then we've got one in October and one in November, and we've got a new product launch as well going out in October.
What does that mean then as a sales academy? Is that something online? Is it in person? Is it a combination?
It's at the moment it's face to face. It's in person for the next few months, but we are in the process of as per usual with my massive goals. I've got a 5-year plan to reach 10,000 learners by 2024. I can't be everyone where at once. I try to be, but I think we need to create. Well, we're in the process of creating a digital platform to launch beginning of next year in regards to that. So it will be a combination of both of those.
Great.
So what else are you doing? So running Just Williams.
Indeed.
And what are your other jobs?
So I'm obviously MD at Just Williams. Obviously we've got the Just Williams Sales Academy. I'm really, really privileged to be on the board of Teesside University Business School. I did my MBA with Teesside University. And really, I suppose as a small business owner, I'm helping them engage the business community with the academic community and ensure that their offering is relevant. So I'm really proud to be on that board. I'm also on the board of Tees Valley Combined Authority's Business Engagement Board, which again I represent the small business community in Tees Valley, which is quite significant, and really try and bridge that gap there. What else am I doing? Really exciting. I have just been appointed as the newest non-exec director for Darlington Building Society, which I am overwhelmed and just absolutely in awe of, really. I've got a background in financial services. I was in banking for 11 years, but this is just amazing, and I was approached for the role, and yeah, it's I mean, I'm a really I love the area and the region that I live in. I really do. I'm not from this area, as you guys know, but I've been up here for 15, 16 years now. And Darlington Building Society, is kind of a bit of a household name around here. They've got a huge online offering through the mortgage broker service. They've got a big presence. They've been going for over 160 years. And so to be a non-exec director for them, I'm just like, I can't wait to get started.
Are you the youngest ever as well?
I am, yeah. So I'm the youngest ever NED for a building society in the UK, which is pretty cool, right?
And we're not going to ask you your age because it's really
no, don't. I'm just gonna go with young. Yeah, I don't think I'm classed in that category anymore, but I've just created a new one for myself. I'm kind of mid-tier. Oh no, that sounds awful, doesn't it? We'll go young. Let's go young.
Yeah.
I can still class myself as young. Just.
We were traumatized on podcast number 1 with Dee, who basically said that she helps midlife women.
Yeah.
And so, I walked into this one. So what's midlife? And she was like, from 35. I was like,
I'm not midlife yet, but I'm not far away. I'm not midlife yet. Although I do
traumatized.
I know, midlife. Oh no, that's awful, isn't it? Oh yeah.
know.
No, I'm not there, but I'm not far off, to be honest with you. I have got to the stage where I do forget my age. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not.
Oh, you start remembering again when you turn 40.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, and at Just Williams, we're quite a young team, and so a lot of our kind of sales support team, my colleagues are in their early 20s, and there's a couple of my colleagues, we're all similar ages, and you put music tracks on and they're just like, who's that? And you're thinking, oh my God, you don't know who Beyonce is, you don't know who Destiny's Child is. This is like, the absolutely pinnacle of my childhood. But there you go. So I do feel old.
Yeah, we're doing that with our new apprentice, Sophie. So she's 18. So yeah, I asked her at the weekend, we were doing a bit of work. I said, what decade would you like to listen to? And she said 70s, which I really enjoyed. But we listened to 70s music, and she knew most of the songs. So
wow,
obviously she's been brought up right.
This
that
is
one.
impressive.
Yeah.
This is good parenting, right?
Yeah. Well done, my sister Amy. Okey-dokey. So you didn't just wake up one day and became a lady with 1,000 jobs. We will ask you at some point during this podcast, no doubt, how on earth you fit all that in. But just talk us through your journey. How did you get from where? I don't want to know where you were born, but where did you get? How did you get to where you are now?
Okay, so I'm a Sheffield girl originally. And I went to school in Sheffield. I left school at 16 and started working in a bank at 16 because I kind of realised that the academic route, at that age, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew that I wasn't, as I say, I didn't at that time think I was an academic. So I just realised that it wasn't right for me to kind of pursue on with that. So I started working at 16 in a bank. I was always really ambitious. My parents have run their own business. Both my parents run their own business. Both retired now, but I'd always been in that environment, and I set myself some goals from a very young age because I think I was just motivated by a desire to achieve everything that I could. I went to an all-girls private school, and it was very competitive. And so I was brought up in a very, very competitive world. And so, so my journey kind of started from a young age, really, I suppose, in the world of work. I progressed very quickly within the bank. I was the youngest private partner by a number of years at the age of 21. And I think I worked really, really hard. I've never understood this kind of 9-to-5 concept, if I'm honest. I was employed and I worked really, really hard because I knew exactly what I wanted to achieve. So I've always been that person that, breaks that mold, I suppose, and that goes above and beyond, and always been the one that, because I didn't have A-levels, I studied more in my own time. I just wanted to progress. And I've thought really that the only person that can teach you how to do that is yourself. So I did that for 11 years in the bank, and I just constantly kind of worked, and I paid for a lot of the qualifications myself. I managed to persuade a number of different managers at the bank to pay for qualifications for me. And I remember I was there was a time when I was a senior mortgage advisor, and again, I was very, very young to be doing that. And there was a job that came up that I think they've changed the whole structure of the banking side now. And, you kind of progressed from one tier to the next. You didn't jump tiers. And I'd applied for a job that would mean I jumped a tier in essence. And it was like this, completely frowned upon thing, like, who do you think you are? How dare you do that? And I was like, no, bring it on. I like a challenge. And I applied for it and didn't get it. And then queried as to why I hadn't got it. And pushed and got it and loved it. And I think since then, really, I was in banking for 11 years. I realised at the time that I think relationship-wise, everything's about relationships with people. And that's really, I enjoyed spending time with people and understanding their businesses and interacting with people. And that's when, I'd set myself a goal. By the time I was 30, I would run my own company. And I think I set that when I was 16 or 17, to be honest with you. So I always had that ambition. I didn't really know what it looked like or what it'd be. I just knew that I would. And I don't mean to sound arrogant there in any way. It was just kind of a goal that I'd set myself. And so, when I left banking, I went to join the Entrepreneurs Forum. I'd already worked with them as part when I was in the bank. And yeah, I thought, you know what, I left school at 16. I haven't got any A-levels. I should do something, really. And also, I'll be honest with you, I'm quite spurred on by it when somebody tells me I can't do something.
Oh, me too. Watch me.
Absolutely. And you know what? I kind of thought, I've got to prove that. I've got a point to prove. And, I think if I'm honest with you, a lot of my life has been about that. If I'm told I can't do something, and believe me, I will do it. So to prove to myself as much as everyone else that I can. So I did my MBA, and it was really tough. I specialised in sales psychology for my thesis, and it was really interesting. I loved it, and I self-financed it, and came out with a first, which I was really proud of. I got 88% for my dissertation, which I was pretty chuffed about. I don't know where I found the time, but there you go. And actually that gave me the foundations to start my business. And yeah, starting a business is probably one of the scariest things I've ever done. And it's been quite a journey. I mean, we're only 3 and a bit years in. The company incorporated in 2015, but we started trading really in 2016. We've got a team of 8 now, 9. We're interviewing again this week, and we've got a couple more appointments to make by the end of the year. But yeah, it's been a hell of a journey.
So you talk about the fear of setting up a business.
Yeah.
You've obviously, so you said you worked 11 years within a banking environment, which is fairly structured, traditional, corporate, if you could say that.
Indeed.
How do you make that transition from something very traditional into the unknown of setting up your own business?
I think great question, and I think it's really hard, and it's amazing. I think wherever we are to a certain extent, I think becomes our identity. And I when I left kind of full-time employment, I felt I was a bit lost. I kind of lost my identity, really. I didn't know who I was. And setting up by yourself, I think I didn't have any clients when I set up. I had an understanding, and I set up the business because I identified a need in the market. And I suppose I'd spent the last few years developing a really strong network, but I was used to that kind of traditional corporate environment, that 9 to 5, although I kind of never really adhered to that in terms of leaving the office at 5. I still find that bizarre. Like, why does everyone sit in traffic at like 5 o'clock? Clearly, if you work half an hour later or an hour later, you're not going to sit in traffic for half an hour anyway. That's just one of my bugbears.
Earlier and do the same.
I find it weird. Anyway, sorry, I digress. But I think, I think that transition's really hard because you almost become constitutionalized by that 9 to 5. And actually there's something really refreshing about having that blank sheet of paper, but there's something that's absolutely terrifying about it as well. So when I started up, I put a bit of cash in myself. Obviously I was working from home because I didn't want the overheads. And you kind of sit there the first day and, you sit at your desk for 9 o'clock and, you're kind of thinking, oh, that's a bit of a bear diary. How exciting, how terrifying. What the hell do I do? And I think it is.
Can make some friends networking.
I know, yeah. LinkedIn. Let's go to every event possible. Let's just try and get out there. And I think, yes, looking back now, would I do something different? Yeah, I absolutely would. But I have a huge level of respect for anyone that starts their own business. I think, you've got to give yourself a bit of an easy time, which sounds a stupid thing to say, I know, but I think you've got to do what you think's right at the time. one thing that I learned, and I was very fortunate to have this from banking, especially from my days at the Entrepreneurs Forum, and I still absolutely hold close now, is you've got to surround yourself with amazing people. You know, and I was very, very lucky that before I set up my business, I asked a number of people their advice, and I, really met with them on a regular basis, and almost set myself, again, I've always been somebody to set myself goals and targets. That works for me really, really well. And even if you set yourself a goal every day or every week or every month or every year, it's something to hold yourself accountable to. I think that's a big mindset change when you go from being employed to being self-employed, is you are accountable for you. And if you don't operate well in that environment, then I wouldn't say it's probably a great idea to set up your own business, because you've got to be strict with yourself. But yeah, and it took a while. I was working from home for like a year and a half before I got my first offices here at Fusion Hive, and that gets you into more of a routine. But yeah, it's a hell of a transformation. It's a hell of a change from going from that kind of corporate world to running your own business.
We always ask as well, so once you've made that decision to take the leap, you obviously get advice which is, from one perspective, very positive. It's like, yes, you should go and do this, Jess, it's great, we can't wait to see what you create. Do you then presumably have the other side, which is like, you've been in banking for 11 years, you've done so well, you've gone up the ladder, why would you want to try and start something from scratch? Create any doubt? Or is that the kind of voice that you want to hear? It's like, oh, don't do that, Jessica, it's so risky.
You've got to balance it out, haven't you?
Like,
You've got to have people that you're going to balance it out. I think people know me and know that I'm not particularly one to conform. I never have been. That's probably why I've got my own company, I'm on my own boss, because I'm not renowned for being that traditionalist and, even conforming to the expectation of me.
Not compliant.
Ask my mother. She would totally agree with that statement. And my ex-head teacher definitely agree. And I think, you've got to go with your gut. I think, you've got to be a certain personality, and I'm a lot of things, and then I've got a lot of weaknesses, but one thing I'm absolutely is driven. And I will absolutely do everything I possibly can to achieve every goal I set myself. So I think if you've got that mentality, then, and people know that, people that know that you've got that mentality, and therefore are going to, and I wasn't, not one person said, no, you shouldn't set up your own company, which, maybe is a great thing. I'm not sure. I really was going to do it, but not one person told me that I shouldn't.
Did you have that whisper at any point earlier than year 11 in banking?
That I was going to set up my own?
Yeah. I know you said that you only were sort of 16, 17, you wanted to by the age of 30, but you sound very driven, very entrepreneurial. I'm going to do things, I'm going to create things and change the world. Within a traditional structure, was that ever stifling?
Yeah, I think it is, especially in a regulatory market, and, I think working in banking, I would always challenge. I've always been renowned for challenging the norm and challenging the status quo. And I think we don't do that enough as a society. I think we need to challenge things more. And I think, I think the people found it more challenging than I did. I think they found me challenging. Again, I'm sure there's lots of people.
I've had that feedback as well.
Ask my ex-bosses. I'm sure they'll all pretty much told you they found it more challenging than me. But yeah, I do, because I think, some of my team now, some of my staff will tell you that, I can be challenging, because I think we do things because that's how it's always been done. That's sometimes the market that we operate in, and I disagree with that. I think we've got to constantly evolve. We've got to constantly find efficiencies. If something's not working, we change it. In fact, we change it before it stops working. And that's about reflection. And I think that's really, really important. So I think there are frustrations working in any type of environment like that. But as I say, as an ED for Darlington Building Society, obviously I think I've progressed from that point. I'm sure they'll be pleased to know that as well.
So you mentioned that you might have done things a little bit differently, given that sort of day one, I am my own boss, sit down at your computer at 9:00. Yeah. If you could go back, what would you do now?
I think I'd have hired my team quicker. I think that probably wouldn't have been from day one, but certainly further on. I think it's really important when you set up a company to understand what you're good at and understand what you're not good at, and you've got to be quite harsh with yourself, I suppose, to a certain extent, but not try and do everything. And I know that's a really cliche thing to say, and I've been there where, you cash flow is tight and you have to do everything. I get that absolutely. And, we're still a small business, so I still have to do a lot of the things that, in an ideal world, I'd have a team to deliver. But I think you've got to be realistic with yourself. I think I'd have hired quicker. I think I'd have stuck more rigidly to my client profile. It's very easy, I think, as a small business to chase revenue, not necessarily always knowingly. And I think all businesses do it. Would I have done it differently? Yes, I would. The scale, the growth in Just Williams came when we productized it, when I productized it from a service-based consultancy business to offering a range of sales solutions. And I'd done that quicker.
Yeah.
But, I'm a big believer in, I've created a model that doesn't exist. We've got a business that's relatively no one else. There are some similar models on the market, but not many. And I'm a big believer in, whether that's the case or whether you're operating in a saturated market, reflection's really, really important. You've got to sit down on a very regular basis and reflect on what's working and what's not. Set yourself goals, set yourself targets, but not be too hard on yourself. It's a learning curve. I believe that we all do what we think's right at the time, and that's all we can ever do. And as long as you're reflecting and learning from, a mistake that you make and you don't do it again, then what more can you ask of somebody?
I mean, we're not all brought up in school, are we, to understand how to set up a business, build a business, grow, scale, hire people. What kind of challenges do you see businesses with then when you're going out to market with the Just Williams services or products, I suppose I should say?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you're absolutely right. And wow, the last few years have been the biggest learning curve of my life. I mean, you don't teach some of this, a lot of this on an MBA, or in any university qualification. I think Just Williams is a sales outsourcing, business, and that was founded on the basis of market research that was conducted to highlight issues that business owners had. So access to finance is always going to be pretty much number one up there, but also finding and retaining salespeople is very, very high on a lot of businesses' lists, because and it has been for a long time, regardless of sector or market. And that's where the business was formed from. So, one of the biggest areas of concern for a lot of businesses is growth into new markets. So how can they diversify their offering? How can they absolutely, create commercial opportunities in the market where it's either a failing market, or whether they feel that they've exhausted or got market saturation. So I think there are frustrations in regards to hiring people. That's across the board in sales. One of the conversations that I have time and time again is about hiring great people. I utterly believe in you hire for attitude and you train for skill. And that's, I think, something that's mirrored a lot in the market, and I think it's a common frustration that a lot of business owners find. And it's hard, it's really hard finding amazing people. I'm very lucky. I've got an awesome team. We're a little family, but it's hard finding people with just an awesome attitude that is around that, they're passionate, they're driven, they are inquisitive. They're all those things which I just kind of take for granted. But yeah, it's hard finding great people. And I think that's one of the probably biggest concerns that a lot of businesses face.
Yeah. And you come from your perspective, don't you, Michelle, as a business psychologist? It's the same sort of thing, and using psychometric profiling testing to try and understand how do we get the best people.
Just to know what you're getting as well. Because an interview will only only tell you how good somebody is at being interviewed, and a CV, again, you can get people to write that. So it's that kind of, you need to really, really dig deep into what is in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
they can fake it, can't they?
Yeah, of course. Well, God, if salespeople can't sell themselves at an interview, then we've got a real issue, haven't we? But and that's the thing with sales, and that's again one of the main reasons why I set up the business is to professionalise the sales industry, because there is no entry criteria for sales. There is no qualification out there. The ISM, which is the Institute of Sales Management, which is centred in London, and we've got a kind of a focus around the UK, but they've got qualifications, but they're not industry wide. So you're absolutely right, and it's something that we must look into, and we do a lot of rigorous testing of our salespeople before we put them in front of our clients. We've got to, because that's the failing, in the market.
Well, it's representation of your brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
With people that you can't be out to see everybody, so it's
No, absolutely, and I think that's also one of the things that I think is really difficult with the service-based business is scaling it when it's just you, growing it when it's just you. you know, that's something that I really struggled with for a couple of years. And, you know, I'm really lucky. As I say, I've got an awesome team now, but, you know, I haven't got the same team that I started with. It's changed because it takes time to find the right people. And like you say, it's like Just Williams it's not called Just Williams, by the way, because I'm egotistical. I feel like I should point this out right now. It's called Just Williams for multiple different reasons, but in essence, it's my name. So, you know, these people, you know, my team have got to represent both my brand and my client's brand really, really well. So you're absolutely right. They've just got to be creme de la creme.
The $100 million question is, how on earth do you fit all this in?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, it's, you know, there's loads of hype at the moment about this work-life balance thing, isn't there? I've never really kind of been. I don't even like the phrase work-life balance. I mean, I don't know what it even means. I think maybe if you do work 9 to 5, then yeah, it's a little bit different, but. You know, the business is me. It's my life. It's everything I believe in, and I've got everything in it. So, you know, there's no separate entity between personal and work. You know, I genuinely love what I do. You know, and anyone that's met me will know that is I believe in what I do, and I believe in my team and my family. And therefore, I'm not restricted by the constraints, you know, which I know is different when you own your own business. I appreciate that is different. But yeah, I'm an early riser. I love working out. I know what works for me. And I think you've got to find that. I can't train on an evening. I can't, you know, because I'm working. I think I wouldn't have been able to do this maybe a year ago because I didn't have my team in place. I've got that. I'm very fortunate. I've got a really supportive partner as well, who's a much better cook than I am. I have to be super organised. Yeah, and I've got an amazing colleague who organises my diary with immense precision and military precision, I have to say. So yeah, it's just about, you know, I do a lot, but we're all the same, I'm sure.
We've all got the same amount of hours in the week,
absolutely.
haven't we?
Yeah, I think I'm very, very conscious about my productivity levels. I set myself, as I've already said, you know, daily goals and weekly goals, and I'm very, very conscious that I achieve those. I've started to restrict, actually, we talked about this before, the amount of time that I spend online. I think it's so easy to get distracted with social media and everything like that, and actually, and I've never been a big TV watcher, but I just think that, you know, it sounds a little bit somber, so I apologise, but, you know, you never know when your time's up. You know, you never know what could happen tomorrow. My business is called Just Williams because my little brother died, and he was the kind of Just William. He was that naughty little boy. And, you know, so I'm an only child now and have been for a number of years. And, you know, my parents' business was called Just Williams Leisure. So, you know, this is kind of in tribute to my little brother and to my family, really. That's, you know, and it's about leaving a legacy. That's why Just Williams is called Just Williams. And so, you know, it puts perspective on things. It really, really does. And therefore, you know, I don't want to waste my time doing stuff that actually isn't going to help me and help my business and help my family and help, you know, my partner and the kids. It's about, you know, just being the best version of you. And I'm not cheesy, believe me, guys. I'm totally not cheesy. But you know what? I just think we've all got a finite amount of time. You just got to maximise it in every possible way. My other half doesn't believe that when my alarm goes off at 5, believe me, he looks at me like and I do feel like my days are numbered at times. But you know, I think it's just about maximising your time. You know, and I work a lot of hours, so I think my downtime is really important, and what I do in my downtime is really important. So yeah, does that answer your question?
No, definitely.
Kind
so
of?
So getting up at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy, isn't it?
Do some exercise.
Not on a weekend, by the way. I don't get up at 5.
Okay.
I can't.
Does your body not just automatically wake you up? Because mine,
God, it's really irritating.
mine does that. It's like 7:30 during the week. 7:30. Shocking, isn't it?
No,
She's
not
already
at
in the
all. That's
office.
like normal. It's me that's the weird
done
one.
half an hour's work.
But yeah, it's like on the weekend, it's like 7:30. Ping.
No, I should. You see, according to this crazy book, I should get up at 5 o'clock all day, every day. But I just think you've got to be realistic, like with anything. You know, you've got to find what works for you. There is not a hard, fast rule. You know, I think we all search for that thing, don't we? That magic thing that's going to, you know, revolute that one diet or that one lifestyle choice, or you know, or we want to read magazines and we want to follow these celebrities, and you know, we're going to find that magic thing that revolutions our life. It's not, you know. I think we all hunt for that so much, but it's wrong. You know, you've got to find something that works for you, and this works for me. So yeah, for the time being, anyway.
No, it's good, and the boundaries as well.
Yeah.
So you don't want to work on a weekend.
No, I don't. Saturdays are my time, and Sundays, yeah, sometimes I do, but Saturdays are my time to spend with my friends and my family and do what I want to do. I don't mind working every evening; that's fine. But in order to do that, it gives me Saturday off, and hopefully sometimes, most of the time, Sunday. But it's finding what works for you, and that's through trial and tribulation. That's not through trial and error. Sorry, you've just got to find it.
It makes me think of, I've just started to listen to The Compound Effect, a book by Darren Hardy.
Oh, I haven't read that one.
Oh, you don't have to read it. There's a YouTube.
Is it good? You've got a
like an hour on
it's
YouTube.
about
That's it.
45 minutes to an hour presentation of his book, effectively, and the compound effect is all these small things, habits, etc., that add up over time. And there was a quote he mentioned in it. I was in the car listening to it yesterday. I can't remember if it was him who said it or it was someone else like Jim Rohn, but it was, we're all self-made men and women, but only the successful take credit for that. So,
Isn't it?
Ooh, that's controversial.
No.
and he talks about the thing of the successful person. The difference between successful and an unsuccessful person is that the successful person does the things the unsuccessful person doesn't want to do. So he says, do you think I want to get up in the middle of winter at 5 a.m. and go and pound the pavement, running around the block for an hour? No, but I do it. Yeah. Because I know I'll be successful.
And that's exactly the same as the mentality behind this Robin Sharma's 5 a.m, which is, I love Robin Sharma as an author. He's absolutely superb. But it's exactly the same. It's the same mentality. I don't necessarily, I'm not saying that I'm not a morning person. I don't want to get up at 5 o'clock. But, I want to create an amazing business and I want, the best possible life I can. So in order for me to fit everything, and I do that. And it's about... I'm a big believer in, you've got to constantly learn. You've got to constantly feed your mind. And audiobooks are superb, aren't they? Because it's like when you're in the car or whatever, when you're on the treadmill, you can do that. But yeah, it's about challenging yourself. I think it's easy to get into that comfort zone, isn't it? It's easy to kind of, fall into those habits. But yeah, you've got to challenge yourself. And God, I'm far from perfect in any way. But I think, you've just got to constantly learn and challenge yourself.
So you create your own reality.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got to, if you set yourself goals, you can't, it's definition of madness, isn't it? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting, the same results, different results, sorry. So I think, you've got to, if I'm expecting to grow my business by the level that I want to and have the type of life that, is important to me, I can't keep doing what I've always done. So you've got to find, a new way of working that works for you and works for the people around you. But I'm with you on that. But yeah, in Robin Sharma's book, he's talking about sleeping on the floor and having cold showers. Not quite on that level yet, but I'll keep you posted.
So one of our friends, Nikki,
I did as well.
There's the cold shower thing.
Oh really?
And he does it. I'm like, no.
I can just about jump into a plunge pool. Do you know what I mean? Like, it takes all of my strength at Spa to jump into a plunge pool. But yeah, that's about as much as I can do. But
we were swimming in the North Sea last month.
Were you?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a really sunny day though.
It wasn't that bad.
But it was still warm. It must have been freezing still though, was it?
It wasn't that bad. But I found though with the cold shower thing. So Nikki from my Zen days, who was guest number 5, I think, she put a challenge out to start doing cold showers, and
that's just like nah.
I think it's so the end of your shower, 5 seconds, 10 seconds,
and build it up. Wow.
So. And I think the logic behind it is that it's, if you're starting your day and you can achieve, your brain saying, don't do this, you're crazy, this is freezing. But he's like, no, we're going to do this, we're going to get this done, we're not going to go to 10 today, we're going to go to 15. You've already achieved something for the day. You've overcome an obstacle and a hurdle. So it sets you up for the day. It's
all about like willpower and your mentality, isn't it? And just almost, kind of re-educating your own brain in regards to that. Yeah. All right, well, I'll keep you posted.
It's on air.
I love the fact that we're just coming to winter and we're talking about having cold showers as if it's not cold enough.
Yeah, if I get cold, I'm cold for the day. I can't get warm. So
I know.
I'm not
I'll just do that, and then can I put my heated seats on and stuff?
But that's the logic. I think after about 20 to 30 seconds, your body's kind of
freezing.
Ready.
Yeah. You can count to 30 really quickly, though, can't you?
But it can't be sort of, instead of like you used to do at school, where instead of it being 1 elephant, 2 elephants, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 30, done, out.
Running up and down the shower just to keep warm whilst, I can do that. I'll try that. I'll let you know how I get on.
So many ways to cheat, isn't there?
But then I always say to myself, if I don't do it, the only person I've cheated is myself, isn't it? So what am I telling myself?
On the back of that, and I will say, I was due to be doing a marathon in a couple of weeks, and I pulled out of it. And I've never pulled out of anything like that. I used to run loads. And I love running. It's like my headspace. It's like the one thing that kind of gets me, it's my own time. I don't run with anyone else. I just run by myself, and I love it. And I was due to do Berlin Marathon in a few weeks' time, and I've pulled out of it. And you know what? I collapsed a couple of times. That's why I pulled out of it, because I was really tired. Completely exhausted, if the truth be told. It's the joy of getting up at 5 a.m. and trying to fit everything in without a holiday for a long time. But this is what I think is important, is for people to be real as well, and to say, I like to set myself goals and set myself targets, but I also have to listen to my own body, and I also have to listen to what my body and my mind's telling me to a certain extent. So there is willpower, but there's also willpower when you actually think this is going to really injure me or actually much worse. And I think I started off by, when I pulled out, I was really, really quite ashamed of myself, and I was quite mortified that I'd done that, because I've never pulled out of anything like that before. But then I was like, actually, you know what? This is the right thing for me. It will genuinely cause me damage and harm if I continue doing that. And so my mindset has changed a lot over the few years of running a business, in the fact that I think, you've got to push yourself. And listen, if you want to do a minute cold shower, absolutely fine with me, James. But, you've also kind of got to go, okay, why am I doing this? Like, is this gonna be beneficial to me? Am I trying to prove something who am I trying to prove something to? And I think it's finding that balance, isn't it? Like anything. But watch your space. I'll do a marathon, but just maybe not in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
So we've got the DeLorean in the car park. Yes.
The 18-year-olds won't understand
exciting.
that one.
So if anyone has not watched Back to the Future, go watch Back to the Future, and then you'll get what I'm talking about.
Excellent.
So we can take you back to when you were leaving school.
Okay.
And you can talk to your younger self.
Okay.
What kind of advice do you think you'd give to Jess?
So I left school at 16. So I know you normally ask this for kind of 18-year-olds, but I'm going to be cheeky and kind of push back and say, okay, I was 16. So I left school at 16 with some really good GCSEs, but probably was brought up with this kind of, you've got to go to university and you've got to get these qualifications and you've got to do this. And you know what? I think whilst I really support, getting a degree and going to university, you've got to do what's right for you. And I think experience in the workplace is so important these days. I've always been one to reflect and kind of look back and think, right, what can I do differently? What can I do better? I think, when I was 18, I was probably thought I knew a lot, and I didn't really know a lot at all. I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I suppose it was restricted by my experience to date. I was so competitive. It was untrue. I'm still competitive, don't get me wrong. But I think I'd given myself probably a bit of less of a hard time, actually, believe it or not. I think I'd have still set myself some goals and some targets, but I would probably have enjoyed life a little bit more. I did work really quite hard, and I was doing quite a lot of qualifications. But I think, you forget how quickly life goes. You forget how precious life is, I think, at times. And therefore, actually, work has always been really important to me. My career has always been really important to me. But I think spending time doing the things you love on a social basis is equally important. And I think probably I've sometimes maybe lost myself over the years by focusing a lot on my career.
I suppose eventually you found something you're really passionate about and enjoy, so it's
absolutely. And I'm I love what I do now. I absolutely love what I do. And like you say, how do you balance it all? Well, you find a way. But I think looking back to 18-year-old me, I mean, I'd probably, when I've seen some pictures, I probably think, why were you wearing that? Or, oh God, which, that is just an unacceptable eyeshadow colour. Or, what were you thinking with those nails? So, I think there's probably quite a few things when you look back and go, oh no. But you know what? It's just, yeah. I'll probably look back in 10 years' time and think, oh God, why did you cut your hair like that now? So you know what? You just do what you think's right at the time, don't you?
Yeah.
You just do what you think's right at the time. But I would absolutely have set up my business earlier. One of the reasons I've been involved in Young Enterprise over the years, really, really passionate about, giving our young people an alternative option and additional skills on top of the curriculum to be more entrepreneurial and, set up their own businesses and that creative side. I didn't have that, and I think that's really, really important. Surround yourself with amazing people. I wish I'd done that from a younger age. I wish I'd had a mentor from like 18 rather than from later on, because they teach you so much, and you've got to be inquisitive and you've got to want to learn, and you just got to have a hunger to, I suppose, to drive yourself forward. And I wish I'd done that a bit more. I'm trying to make up for it now, right? Next time you meet, you'll be like, what time are you getting up, Jess? 3:00.
Do you ever sleep?
I'm also single as a result. And I have more makeup on to hide my bags than you've ever seen.
So you're a massive advocate of Teesside.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So tell me where that love for the region comes from.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not from this area, so, but I've lived up here for 15 or so years. So, I came to this area knowing nobody, not knowing the area at all. It was with a boy. Don't tell anyone it was with a boy. Always is these stories, isn't it? But I just fell in love with it. And I'm a Sheffield girl. So Sheffield's like in the bang in the middle of the country, Teesside's like, it's amazing. You've got the coast on, you've got the coast like 20 minutes away. I was doing the Cleveland Way yesterday with my mum and dad. That's 20 minutes away. You've got everything on your doorstep. And Teesside or Teesside, it doesn't matter what you call it. It's a gorgeous little region. And yeah, it's had some really bad press. And, a lot of people have a perception of the area, which is fine. That's their issue, not ours. It's like any area. It's got some amazing bits and it's got some bad bits. But we've got some incredible range of businesses here. We've got some really amazing people that are, about to take our region to the next level. And I'm so proud to be part of it. I sit on a couple of boards in the area, which I'm really proud of as well. So yeah, it's a fantastic region, which is absolutely on the up. It hasn't got the airtime that it needs for a long time, but I hope that's about to change. It's a fantastic region to live, work, play and learn. And I love being here, I have to say.
Good point to end on, isn't it? So if that's of interest, if you're a business owner, if you just want to follow you on and see all these great announcements every week.
I can't promise it'll be all the time, but yeah.
What's the best way to sort of get in touch or find you?
Well, there's obviously Just Williams. We've got Twitter, we've got LinkedIn, we've got Instagram. Instagram's kind of a bit of behind the scenes. I've got obviously personal.
Always do good boomerangs on
I have to say, my team are amazing
Top
at stuff
level
like
boomerangs.
that.
We need to come for some training, I think.
We're not very good at boomerangs. We just do jazz hands.
Listen, everyone loves jazz hands. But yeah, I mean, again, personally and obviously through the business, we've got all of the LinkedIn, the Twitter and the Instagram handles. We're about to launch the startup program, which is for businesses that are looking to design a sales strategy. We've got a 6-week course. The first one starts in October. We've got another one again in February, but it's great because it's a cohort of 5 businesses that are coming together, and we're really kind of taking you through that 6-week program. So we'd love, as I say, people to get involved in that, or the Just Williams Sales Academy, which, as I say, is launching this week actually. So there's loads of ways that you can connect with us, but I'd love to hear from you. I'm a massive believer in supporting other local businesses and local startups. So if there's anything that me or my team can do, then we're more than happy to support.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for letting us come into your office and do some recording.
In very sunny Stockton, I have to
Boilers.
say, right?
Thanks then, Jess.
No worries, thank you.
Thanks everyone for listening. Check out all the show notes at inspirationnorth.com. Join us again for the next episode when we'll be chatting to another inspirational person. If you like this, subscribe and tell your friends. If you didn't like this, subscribe anyway and tell everybody.